I'm going to wind the bobbin onto my front loading machine, and this is quite a basic entry level machine, but I'm still going to be able to sew everything that we're going to do on the course on this machine. So the first step is to pop my spool onto that little vertical spool pin, then take your thread to the back of this disc and a little bit like flossing, take it right in the middle. So this is the tension disc for the bobbin winder. Then I'm going to take my thread to the back of this bobbin, and I have about 2 inches of tail, and I'm just going to take this short thread and wrap it around the middle of my bobbin. This is a quick way of getting enough thread for it to start winding. I'm just going to pull out the needle wheel to disengage the needle while I wind on the bobbin. Then putting my foot on the floor on the pedal, just going to start winding. And then stop and use your fingernail just to really check that that's nice and taut. If it's baggy, you need to unthread it and start again, but I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to put my foot back on the pedal and wind on this bobbin. So I don't need a lot of thread to show you how to wind it on. And then I'm just going to disengage the winder by clicking from right to left, then push this wheel back in to re-engage my needle, and taking my scissors, I'm just going to cut this thread here. And then I'm going to take my thread to thread up the top of the machine, but I can see that I've got no take-up lever here, so I'm just going to turn this wheel until that lever comes proud so that I can thread up. And step number 1, I'm going to take my thread behind this first metal thread guide. Then I'm going to hook my thread down through my tension discs, so all the way down this split, and then following the lettering or the numbering, I'm going to come back up through this second side of the split, and then from right to left I'm going to hook my thread right around that take-up lever, and you can see that it's pinged right in that eye. Then come straight back down, and then what's really important is that I get my thread caught behind the little hook on the left hand side, and that's going to keep my thread in line with my needle. And then taking a fresh cut, I'm going to snip my thread and I'm going to pass my thread from front to back through the eye of the needle. Now I just need to make my needle a little higher, and then if I pop my finger I can really see that eye, and I push my tail through the end, and then just catch that end, making sure that you don't get the thread wrapped around the foot or the needle, and that's my needle all threaded up. So for a front loading bobbin I need to remove the base of the machine to access the bobbin cover, which is here. So I'm lowering my bobbin cover and I can see my bobbin case at the front, and there's a little pin here, a little clip. If you grab onto that and remove the bobbin case, and then I like to pop this into my hand and then take my filled bobbin and put it into the case so that it's making a letter Q. So that's it, turning clockwise with the thread on the right hand side. And then I just need to hold on to the case and the bobbin because there's another tension spring here. So there's a tiny split right at the front. So I take my thread into that split and then I hook it underneath this spring. And then that's ready to go. And you'll know you've got it in because when you hold the thread, the bobbin doesn't pop out of the case. Then I'm going to take my bobbin and, not using that little clip, I'm just going to pop it back in so that the arm lines up with that little hole. And then I push the bobbin in, and that gives a nice click, and then that's how you know you've engaged the bobbin case. So the next step is that I'm going to use this thread to draw the bobbin thread up through the hole underneath my sewing foot. And to do that, I'm just going to hold the thread in front of my needle with my left hand. And with my right hand, I'm going to turn the needle wheel all the way down into the machine. And you're going to start to see the thread wrapping around from right to left around that bobbin. Now, as it's hooked up above the lever, if I give that a tug, you can see my bobbin thread looped over my needle thread. And I'm going to pass my scissors through that loop, and I just pass it to one side until all of that thread has now come up through that hole. Can't see any thread. And then replace the cover and pop your little tray back on, ready to start sewing.